Hey, what's up guys, Rockskull here, and in this video I wanted to share my thoughts on the recently remastered Center map. When this map released in ARK Survival Evolved, it was not really appreciated by many, because compared to others, it had a lack of any exciting new content. Still, being the first map expansion the game had, it was still impressive for the time in my opinion. It has a super deep and expansive ocean, a whole cool underground area, and of course the main floating island in the middle of it all. It also had some unique cave challenges and a cool boss arena. Over time, though, newer maps ended up simply outclassing it. Now that it has been remastered in ARK Survival Ascended, how does it hold up? In this video I'm going to be going over what I would consider the 5 most important elements when looking at a map to answer this question. I'll also of course be comparing the remastered map to its predecessor when necessary. Starting out, I'm going to be talking about what I'll consider a mostly solid upgrade of the map, which is the aesthetics. As I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the ocean biome with how deep and expansive it is, and it looks even better now in ASA. Also always loved how massive the borders of the map felt, and they feel even bigger now, which is awesome. The caves all look far better too in my opinion, with a lot better lighting, and the main center point of the map looks great too. Something I'm a bit sad about though is that they changed the boss arena, and it honestly feels like a bit of a downgrade. Don't get me wrong, the new design is still pretty cool, but that old design was just so unique and loved by many, I'm surprised they even changed it. Another visual downside in my opinion has to be the volcano island. I like the extra terrain detail the island has now, but it barely feels like a volcanic island at all anymore, mainly because the trees and brush on it are green now for some reason, which makes it look like every other island. I don't think plants are supposed to be living around a volcano. I looked it up myself, and even ones in real life don't look like this. They don't even have dead trees around them, because again, I mean, how are plants even supposed to live around it in the first place? A final downside I want to talk about here is the Skull Island. Its overall design did definitely get improved, but as a bit of a Skull fan myself, I was a bit sad to see that cool lava design on the old skull had been removed. It's also a lot less appealing for a base location compared to the old one, since there are a lot less flat spots. Still got some epic resources around it though. An additional thing I wanted to mention in this section is that I waited a bit on purpose to see if the devs would fix the visuals of the map, since they mentioned they would in a community crunch. Unfortunately though, it seems like the visual stuff they were fixing was very minor, and was to only counter meshing problems. Next, we are going to shortly go over performance and unique gameplay elements the map brings. For performance, currently from what I can tell, it can be quite rough. This poor boy crashed at least 30 times just looking around the map for this video, so please like this video for me at least so my suffering feels warranted. Seriously though, like this whole west section of the map I just keep crashing. My guess is due to the massive scale of the cliffside caves and the waterfall, so be careful fellow survivors. Other than that, the rest of the map seems like average crap ASA performance, and just some noticeable hitches in the deep ocean and final boss fight arena. For new gameplay elements, this map still doesn't have that much unfortunately. There isn't anything unique in terms of loot gathering or resources. Like it would be pretty cool if we got some sort of new early game loot gathering method like Ragnarok had with the crates, or some way to get bonus XP like Fjordor had with the nodes. Next up, we got the most controversial section, which is the creatures. We'll talk about the controversial one in a bit, but first I want to speak about just what in general spawns on this map. I was always quite sad before that not even Scorch creatures spawn, and it still continues to be the case. The huge lava island would be a perfect spot for some of these dinos to spawn, I think, like other maps. And I can definitely see them adding a wyvern trench here too, but it unfortunately continues to not exist. With no Scorch creatures, it makes the map a lot less appealing for people to get into still. And even the new addition of the Shastasaurus I found leaves a lot to be desired. The Shastasaurus and its huge metal, sack feels a bit disappointing to me, mainly because the saddle can only be crafted with a tech replicator, and by that point, for most PvE players, there's not really a point in having this as a base and investing the time into it. It's super slow, and its abilities feel like quite a mixed bag to me. I'm only a PvE player, so let me know in the comments if this thing even has any use in PvP. I would assume not though because of how slow it is and stuff. Next up, we got the paywall creature, the Pyromane, and oh boy do I have some thoughts on this. First off, the creature itself is a bit sad since it's clearly just a reskinned Shadowmane. Also, just like the Shadowmanes, it is pretty ridiculously OP of course, and even if you didn't pay for it, it runs around the map you not being able to tame it. This all leads to it being extremely scummy to me, and shows signs of a kind of grim future for the rest of the ASA maps. I can't even imagine how annoyingly OP this thing is in PvP, as it's a Shadowmane flamethrower you can put on your shoulder, and also ride. Even as a PvE player, this is super messed up to me. The creature just runs around my world with this thing saying pay to tame lol. It reminds me of the Bob's Tall Tales engrams cluttering up my engram list saying pay if you want this. I get that these devs need to make money, but there are far better ways to do it than this, like I mentioned in my Is ASA Worth It video. If you look at other modern games, what is one thing they take advantage of for monetization that ARK doesn't? Cosmetics. Instead, for some reason, things are backwards where the cosmetics are free, but additional content needs to be paid for. It does seem like the devs are going to be trying paid cosmetics in the future with them testing it recently, so we can only hope that they stop releasing these OP paid dino expansions. Anyway, I don't want to be a ranty boy about all of this, so we'll move on to the next thing. Even though the caves look a ton better, unfortunately the journey to the majority of the artifacts is usually super easy, or just a bit boring. Like, the map has these massive caves that feel super hollow. I definitely wouldn't mind if they were maybe filled with more creatures or unique challenges along the way, but instead they still just feel like walking simulators. At least now you get a pretty view when you do it. A lot of the map has these super easy artifacts that are pretty much out in the open too, or just make no sense. This artifact on the cliffside here is just in this cool looking ice castle. Not a single thing in your path to stop you. Like, come on, you couldn't at least put Elsa in there, man? The Jungle Cave artifact I also find pretty funny, as there is this huge cave system with dangerous creatures in the way as you would expect. But there is also an underwater entrance that literally goes straight to the artifact, ignoring these creatures. What the heck is the point of the cave then? I thought maybe loot, but it literally only gives you blue crates. This definitely takes the award for goofiest cave in ARK for me. The only decent artifacts, in my opinion, is the one in the deep ocean, the ice caves, and the jumping puzzle. The deep ocean is still not the greatest since it's out in the open, but at least going down there is quite a challenge on its own with how deep it is. The ice caves are pretty much a bit weaker replicas of a snow cave on the island, but compared to the others, it definitely brings a challenge at least. Now, the jump puzzle artifact is definitely my favorite, as it adds a super unique and fun challenge I wish the other caves did. If you don't know already, as the name implies, you simply have to do a bunch of jumping parkour to get to the artifact. I'm sure there are some cheat ways around it, but the Chad ARK players will do the parkour anyway because it's fun. I was really hoping some of the empty artifact caves could be remastered to be more similar to this for a more unique challenge, but it ended up not being the case. There was no major changes to the boss requirements or the boss fight itself either, which is quite a bummer. Only to the aesthetics of the boss arena as mentioned before. What could be considered a new gameplay element, I guess, is the addition of water. This makes things like Spinos pretty good for this fight, which is kinda cool. Also, another thing I guess could be considered a new gameplay element is that the arena makes it so you pretty much have to fight both bosses at once now, which ups the difficulty by quite a bit. Still, this all again feels like a missed opportunity to add some unique challenges, and maybe give the map a unique boss. But now we gotta focus on adding pay-to-win creatures instead. I do find it quite funny though that the water in the arena pretty much directly counters the Pyromane and renders it not very usable for the fight. My headcanon is that this is a jab from the devs hating that business decision. Now my conclusion here is that the only major things you get on this map are the Shastasaurus, Mr. Pay-to-Win Pyromane, and some pretty aesthetics. If you like these particular things, then you could have a decent time with the map. Otherwise, it's hard for me to see anyone else enjoying it unless it's like heavily modded. I really hope with all the backlash I've seen this paid Pyromane expansion getting, and the map in general, we don't get a release like this again for the other non-story maps. I also hope at some point the devs do look back on the center to add a couple more things, but it's unlikely. You can let me know your thoughts on the center in the comments. That's all I had for this video. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Rocks go, rocks go. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rocks go. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright. He thinks I'm a roadhog, he thinks I'm a main, he thinks I'm a sinner, but that's okay. Rocks go, rocks go. All he wants to do is stream all night.